All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about China's war on corruption. But we're not going to do it with boring policy papers. Instead, we're going to look at 3 real, pretty shocking cases that show you what's really at stake.
So when you hear that phrase, China's anti-corruption campaign, what actually pops into your head? For a lot of us, it might just sound like power struggles, political jargon, or maybe it's just another headline you scroll past, something that feels like it's happening a world away.
But here's the thing. Corruption, no matter where you are in the world, it basically works like an invisible tax. It's this hidden cost that trickles down into our lives, showing up as things like higher prices, services that just don't work right, and a society that feels a little less fair, a little less safe for everybody.
And that's exactly why we're going to walk through the stories of 3 real people. These are high-profile, high-stakes cases that really help explain why, from China's point of view, this is a fight they feel they absolutely cannot afford to lose.
Okay, first up, we've got a case that was so packed with power, money, and scandal that it honestly felt like watching a real-life political drama unfold.
The man at the center of it all is Xilai. You got to understand, this guy was a political rock star. He was the powerful, charismatic leader of the giant city of Chongqing, and almost everyone saw him as a top contender for China's future national leadership.
But then, the whole thing just imploded, and the details that came out were, well, stunning. We're talking about huge bribes, embezzlement, a total abuse of his power, and it even spiraled into a bizarre connection to his wife murdering a British businessman. I mean, it was a scandal that had everything.
The final scene played out in 2013. Xilai was sentenced to life behind bars, and the verdict was crystal clear. His actions had done serious harm, not just to the state, but to the very people he was supposed to be leading.
So what was the big takeaway here? Well, this was way bigger than just one guy. It was about sending a shockwave through the entire system. And the message was loud and clear. The more power you get, the more people are watching. It is not a free pass to do whatever you want.
Now, if that first case was a political drama, our next one is on a whole other level. This is about what they call the ultimate tiger.
And his name is Yongkang. To really get this, you have to appreciate how incredibly powerful this man was. He wasn't just a leader. He was at the absolute pinnacle, sitting on the top leadership committee. He was in charge of the entire domestic security and legal system. We're talking police, courts, the whole shebang. He was the highest-ranking official ever to be prosecuted in modern China's history.
And his corruption went way beyond just lining his pockets. The investigation found that he used his enormous power to make his family and his allies rich, he meddled in court cases, and even leaked state secrets. This wasn't just graft. This was seen as something that threatened the security and the rule of law of the whole country.
You often hear Chinese leaders talking about going after both tigers and flies. That means powerful officials and petty bureaucrats alike. Well, Zhou Yongkang, he wasn't just any tiger. He was seen as the tiger of all tigers. Taking him down was meant to prove that absolutely no one is above the law.
All right, on to our third and final case. And in a lot of ways, this one's the most telling. It's the story of a fallen star. This is Sun Zhengcai. He was the up-and-comer, part of what people called the successor pool. Basically, he was one of the guys everyone thought was being groomed for the next generation of top leadership. His career path seemed to be a straight shot to the very top.
But of course, there was another story going on behind the scenes. For years, he'd been using his different government jobs to sell his influence, taking bribes for everything from construction projects to promotions for other officials. And the price tag on all that influence, get this, it added up to more than $26 million.
So when Sun Zhengcai fell, it was a huge symbolic moment. The message couldn't have been clearer. It doesn't matter if you're seen as the future of the leadership. It doesn't matter if you're on the fast track. Nobody gets a free pass. Nobody is immune.
So we've seen a powerful regional boss, a national security czar, and a rising star all get taken down. Which brings up the big question. Why does China keep saying this is a fight that's always on the road, one that never ends?
Well, from their perspective, it really comes down to 3 things. First, there's social trust. They want people to believe that hard work gets you ahead, not just who you know. Then, there's economic efficiency. Corruption messes up the market, right? Money goes to the connected, not the best ideas, and that slows everything down. And finally, and maybe most importantly, political stability. At the end of the day, they believe that widespread corruption eats away at the very legitimacy of their ability to govern.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. Because even though these stories are from China,
The problem they're dealing with is something that every country faces.
And it's interesting to see the different ways people try to fight it. In China, we've seen this massive top-down campaign going after both big tigers and small flies. In many Western countries, the focus is often on tools like specific anti-bribery laws, transparency movements to open up government data, and strong legal protections for whistleblowers. They're just different strategies for tackling the same fundamental problem.
Ultimately, the stated goal isn't just about catching the bad guys. It's about trying to build a long-term immune system for the whole country, an institutional framework to fight the disease of corruption before it can even spread.
And that really leaves us with this one big thought. When you strip it all away, these cases are all part of China's attempt to answer a question every single society on this planet is trying to figure out. How do you make sure power is supervised?